Darric and his Ratmen have escaped prison and through dangerous mines reach the surface of the planet in a mine elevator. They are not sure if someone follows them, but Darric's plan is somehow to get away from the planet. First, they have to attend to their wounded. Both Zeenax and Vrittar went down in the last fight. The Ratmen are now in a small compound and Darric has scouted a possible operational shuttle, but noises from the compound indicate that it's not abandoned. But first, let's check for casualties. Zeenax went down in the last fight. He will have to roll a d6. If he rolls a 1, he's dead. A 6 and he will earn XP. Oh, and that's a 6. Great, he will have 1 more XP. Now, Vrittar. He will have to avoid a roll of 1. Come on, otherwise he's dead. And it's a 3. He will recover. We have the band back together. So far, Darric is the only one who has earned XP enough to level up. He will become 15 points more expensive and he will have to roll for his skill set, and that's a 1. So he's a captain or a supporter. I will roll for captain and see what trait he will get. It's a 6. He will be a tactician. So if friendly units activate within 6 inches of Darric, they will get a +1 when they shoot. That will be useful. With Darric is again Borvw, the rat ogre. He is furious and he is armed with a flamer and a combat drill. Neelik is armed with a sergeant hand weapon and a plasma pistol, and he is fearless. Darric himself is also fearless. He's a hero and now a tactician. He's armed with an elite plasma pistol and a combat saw. Darric and Neelik have deployed together as a group here at the entrance of the complex. Deployed as another group is Zeenax. He is fearless and he's armed with a sergeant hand weapon and a shred pistol. And with him, Vrittar, he has Relentless. He's armed with a flamer and only close combat weapons, no specialized melee equipment of any kind. The Ratmen have one primary objective, and that is to get to the launch pad and the shuttle and somehow find a way to operate it and then get off the planet. The secondary objective is to get rid of any resistance inside the compound and of course try to stay alive. And that could be easier said than done. The complex is guarded by infected colonies Colonel Kurtz. He is a hero armed with energy sword and leader carbine, and he is angry. With him he has a monster, the great hunter Uzork. He's a hero, undead, and armed with great sharp claws, no less than 4 melee attacks. Deployed close to the shuttle and the command console is the infected gunner Decane. He is relentless and he is armed with a flamer. And close to him there is a rabid dog, Roddy. The dog is fast and armed with vicious jaws. Final member of Colonel Kurtz's troops is the infected gunner Carnascio. He is relentless and armed with heavy machine gun, and he is deployed here on top of the building. He'll be tricky to hit because of the cover barrels, but there is a ladder leading to the top of the building. And this is how the complex looks. Darric and his Ratmen can take the direct route, or they can try to sneak in. They are so far unnoticed. They have the element of surprise, and they will activate first in round number 1. Darric's plan is to use the building as cover and get to the command console. So as a decoy, he will send a Neelik into the complex, and Neelik will take aim at Carnascio on the top of the building. He will hit with a 4 with his plasma pistol, and he's on target with a 5. And with AP 4, not even the cover will save Carnascio, and he rolls a 1 anyway. He will be hit by the plasma shot and take 1 wound. And that forces him to roll on the wound chart, and he will survive. But of course, he'll be shaken. That triggers the alarm in the complex, and Colonel Kurtz will react immediately. He will move slightly on the first floor of the building. His leader carbine has a range of 18 inches. He can fire back at Neelik. 3 shots he'll hit with 5s, and he will hit with 2 of his shots. It's AP nothing. Neelik will save with 4s, and he will save both shots. He will dodge the bullets. It was a close call, but he's safe. The attention that Neelik's got will give Zeenax the opportunity to rush to the ladder that leads to the top of the building, and he will be completely unnoticed. Roddy, the infected dog, will then activate, and he's fast. He can rush 16 inches. He cannot reach any of the Ratmen, but he will take cover behind the ladder here, and he will be able to bite almost all of them in the next round. Now Darric himself will activate. He will run towards the building and take cover out of line of sight of any of the infected soldiers. Carnascio will shake his shaken condition off. He will take a firm grip of his heavy machine gun, and he'll be ready again. Vrittar will not be able to reach anybody with his flamer, but he will move to the building, and there is an open path through the building. He could take advantage of that. We'll see next round. Then Decane, also armed with a flamer, will move towards the building here where Darric is hiding. So he will block the way to the command console, and he will also be able to shoot if anybody moves through the building. That leaves Borvw, the most powerful member of Darric's group, to activate. He is a red ogre, and he took a heavy beating in the last fight. Somehow he stayed on his feet. Last unit to activate is Uzork, the Great Hunter. He is just out of range, so he cannot charge Darric or Borvw. Instead, he will stay here behind the container. And that concludes the first round. Borvw has to take out Uzork. Darric must reach the console and maybe take out a few units on his way, and the rest of the Ratmen will have to deal with the Colonel and the dog. What could possibly go wrong? Round 2. The Ratmen will activate first, and that's a huge advantage. Borvw will fire up his combat drill, and he will charge Uzork. He only has 2 attacks, but he's furious, so he has to roll 4, but he really hopes for 6s. Well, no 6s, but 1 hit. And with AP 1, Uzork will have to roll a 5. He rolls a 6, and he's unharmed. But now he can fight back with 4 attacks. Oh dear. They will hit all of them, but what's worse, 3 of them are Rending. I can't see how Borvw could possibly survive this. He will defend 1 of the Rending hits though, so far 2 hits, and now the regular one, it's AP 1. He will defend with a 4, if not, he will go down, and it's a 6. He will defend the regular hit and 1 of the Rending hits. He will survive for now with 2 wounds, and then he will step back. That was a failed charge. Carnascio steps to the edge of the building, and he points his heavy machine gun at Neelik. He has 3 shots. He will hit with a 5, and it's AP 1. 1 shot will hit, and with AP 1, Neelik is forced to roll 5 or more. Ooh, he will also dodge that bullet. He has now survived rains of bullets from Colonel Kurtz and Carnascio here. He's in a great shape. Vrittar will move through the building. He will stay here in the doorway to get some cover, but he has line of sight to Roddy, the infected dog. And with 12 inches range of his flamer, he can target the dog. He shoots with reliable, so he will hit with a 2, and that's exactly what he got. So he will hit, and Roddy will not defend. He is engulfed in flames, and he will take 1 wound. And the consequences for Roddy, it's a 5. The dog is toasted, literally out of action. Colonel Kurtz is starting to realize what has happened here. He didn't wake up this morning thinking a group of Ratmen in yellow prison suits would attack his compound. But he aims his leader carbine once again at Neelik. For the third time, he will be shot at, and there is also a hit this time. Can he continue to avoid any kind of injury? No. It's over for him. He will take a wound, and let's see how he will deal with it. He will roll a 5. Poor Neelik. He is shot down and out of action. Zeenax moves up the ladder. He advances 6 inches on the roof, and from this position he can target Carnassia with his shred pistol. That's 2 shots, and he'll hit with force, and he will hit both of them. One of them is a rending hit. Carnassia will have to come up with a 6. And he can't do that. He will take 1 wound. Then the regular hit, and he will also fail the defense of that one. So 2 hits to Carnassia. He already has 1. So that's 3. That will be a difficult roll on the wound chart. But he will make it. At 2, it's exactly enough to keep him in this fight, but he will be shaken, of course. Next unit to activate is the infected gunner, Decane. He's armed with a flamer, and that one is also reliable. He only needs a 2 to flame Borvw. Yeah, he is an infected gunner. After all, he will miss with his flamer. A hit could have taken Borvw out. I guess he was lucky here. Darric will climb the roof of this building, and he is just within line of sight and range of Colonel Kurtz with his leader plasma pistol. 2 shots, he'll hit on a 4, and he will hit with both of them. Darric, as usual, very competent. It's AP4. The Colonel will only save his infected life with 6s, and he is hit twice. Of course, it's not enough to take him out, but it sure is a step on the way. Uzork has no ranged weapons. He has no choice but to charge Borvw, and he has already fought, so he will only hit with rolls of 6, but he is deadly once again. 1 hit, and Borvw will not only need a 4, he will need a 6, because it's rending, but he will come up with a 6. He's still on his feet. Unbelievable. Borvw, of course, is also fatigued. He will not hit with any of his return strikes, and that will conclude round number 2. The Ratmen lost Neelik in this round, but they also managed to take out the dog and wound the Colonel. So far, Darric's plan might still work. It's the 3rd round. The Ratmen will again have the advantage of the first activation, and Borvw will have to do something. He will fire his wrist flamer, and with the blast keyword, he can potentially hit both Uzork and the gunner. And he will hit with his reliable flamer. So he will have to divide the hits, 1 each, Uzork first, and he will defend. And then Decane. And he will fail his defense roll. He will be hit by the flamer. 1 wound and a roll to see what will happen. And it looks bad for Decane. It's a 6. He will also be taken down by the flames. And that's good, but it didn't really hurt Uzork that much. The Great Hunter is still unharmed and a huge threat. But Decane here, he will leave the battle. Colonel Kurtz jumps down the building and onto the container and down here behind cover, but he can still draw line of sight to Vrittar inside the building. So he will fire his carbine. 3 shots again, and with 5 as the target. And he will hit with 1 of his shots. Vrittar is in cover, so that will benefit his defense roll. It's AP nothing. He should have a good chance here. No, it's a 1. That will, of course, always be a failure, so he will be hit and take 1 wound. Vrittar shot, but he will stay alive. He will be shaken. And that takes him out of action in this round, and maybe that was Colonel Kurtz's intention. Back up on the roof, Zeenax will assault Carnascio. So he will start with his shred pistol, and he will hit on 5s instead of 4. There is 1 hit. The shred pistol is AP nothing, so a 5 is needed, and Carnascio will dodge the shot. And then the final part of the assault. That's 2 attacks with the sergeant hand weapon. In this case, it's a knife. And that will also hit on a 5. And there is 1 hit again. Could Carnascio survive the second part of the assault? He can. He will avoid any damage from this assault. Good for him, because he is already shaken. And that would most likely have taken him out. But now he can fight back. He will need a 6, and he's no close combat expert. And, well, indeed, he is no expert. He will hit nothing. Zeenax will move back 1 inch. At least he tried. And now Uzork turns his attention to Borvw, and he will launch his powerful attack. And again, he will hit with most of his attacks. And one of them again is Rending. So 3 hits, and Borvw will begin with the Rending hit. He will need a 6 to block that. And it looks like he will fail that. So he has already taken 3 wounds now. The 2 remaining regular hits, and he will block both of those. That at least is something. But he has 3 wounds. He will be forced to roll on the wound chart. If he's only shaken, he will still draw some attention from Uzork. So let's see. It's a 3. He will be shaken, but at least he's still there. Borvw, of course, will fight back, but he's not able to damage Uzork. So let's continue. Vrittar will remove his shaken condition, and Carnascio will do the same. So the last activation of the 3rd round is Darric. He will move to the edge of the roof and jump down. That will be 6 inches, and from here he can target Colonel Kurtz. He has 2 shots with his plasma pistol. The Colonel is in cover. And Darric will hit with 1 of his plasma shots, so that cover will not help the Colonel. It's AP 4, and the Colonel is hit with the 3rd wound. Now he will face a roll on the wound chart. And the Colonel rolls a 1. He is shaken. Great move by Darric. He is also now within reach of the command console and the shuttle. And that will conclude the 3rd round. The fight here on the top of the building is not over yet. The Colonel is badly hurt, Borvw the same, but Uzork is still very much alive and active. And in the 4th round, the infected soldiers will activate first. Uzork has a great opportunity to eliminate Borvw, but he plays it smart because Borvw is shaken. So he won't be able to do much this round. Instead, Uzork will target Darric. 4 attacks. And he will hit with each and every one of them. And one of them will be Rending. Can Darric survive this? He will begin with the Rending hit. That will take a 6. And Darric is hit. 1 of the attacks, 1 wound. Now the 3 remaining hits. That will take rolls of 5. And for once, Darric will fail miserably. He will not save any of the attacks. He will take 4 wounds. And that is, of course, way too much. He will have to roll on the wound chart. And it's a 5. For the first time since Darric began his escape, he gathered his group, and he has been the leader all the way. Now he bites the dust. Uzork has taken Darric down. Zeenax is the second in command, and he will have to step up. He will once again assault Carnascio, and he will hit with 1 of his shred pistol shots. And Carnaccio will fail this time. It was close, but he will take one more wound. He needed a 6 because it was a rending hit. But we also have the final part of the assault. Zeenax will try to bury his knife deep into the infected flesh, but he won't hit anything. But Carnaccio will still have to roll on the wound chart, and this time it's way too much. He will fall down from the roof, and he is of course destroyed. Colonel Kurtz will activate, and he's no longer shaken. He is ready for more action. But then Vrittar steps out of the shadows. The colonel shot him in the last round. Now it's time to take his revenge. So he will advance and he will fire his flamer. Cover will not do the colonel any good, and the flamer really hits. It's a 6, it's AP nothing, but the colonel will fail his defenses. He will take his wound number 4. Can the colonel keep himself together? No, it's a 5. Colonel Kurtz will also be hit by the flames. He will burn to dust, and he's out. Final action of this round is Borvw. He will remove his shaken, and with the colonel out of action, there is only one infected trooper left, and that is Uzork. So he will have to pass a morale test here at the end of the round. With a quality of 3, that should be possible. And he is doing great. He blocks the way to the shuttle and the command console, and with 2 men down, including Darric, the Ratmen decide to call this a day and leave the compound. All of them, with the exception of Zeenax, are heavily wounded, and without Darric as their leader, they cannot complete their primary objective because something is in the way, and that something is Uzork. He's unharmed, and he's still very much alive. The risk that he will take the Ratmen down one by one is simply too high. The Ratmen will have to find another way off this planet and continue their escape. Darric's fate is unknown. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future Batreps.